Okay, so on this first page is a table of words. And the addition part is very easy to remember. Sum means addition, plus means addition, added to means addition, more than means addition, increase by, and total. That all represents addition. Multiplication, same thing. Product means to multiply. Times obviously means to multiply. Multiply means to multiply. Twice means 2 times. Remember that? You had that on that last test that you took. Of also means, for the most part, to multiply. Remember last semester you did stuff with percents? Like 80% of 20? That of meant to do what? Multiply. Division, quotient means divide. Divide into, a while ago we said 3 into 8. So into means to divide. Ratio means division. Divided by means division. And then equals. Equals, gives, is, what should be, yields, amounts to, represents, is the same as. Now let's look at subtraction. So remember, there's some, what subtraction was the one where you have to remember that there's certain times when you have to reverse. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So minus means subtraction. Subtract from means subtraction, and that's the one you're going to put a little asterisk by. Less than means subtraction. You put a less, you're going to put an asterisk next to that. Decrease by and less. So the less than and the subtract from, that's where you reverse things. You reverse the terms. Okay. Now there's general strategy to do this. So first of all, you got to read the problem. You got to understand the problem. And you're going to choose a variable to represent the unknown. And then if you need to, you're going to draw something. You're not always going to be able to draw something. And then whatever your proposal is for your solution, you're going to check to make sure it makes sense. So once you choose a variable and you do your unknowns, you're going to translate the problem to an equation. And then 9.7, the one we just completed, we'll come back and do inequality word problems. But if we do that one, let's talk about equation word problems. You're going to solve the equation and you can interpret. Okay, now, the ones that we're going to go over are certain types of word problems. So the first type, where it says objective A, we're going to call that translation word problems. All right, translation word problems. So basically, as you read the problem, you're going to write out the equation, just like you did on the test with those word expressions. That's what these are. So number 2, if you look at number 2, it says the difference of 3 times a number and 1 is the same as twice the number. And you want to find the number. Okay? So the difference of 3 times a number and 1 is the same as twice the number, and you want to find the number. Okay, when you get the worksheet, it's going to look like this. Okay, when you get it, it's going to look like this. This is part A. So I'm having little boxes here. So say, write the unknown, set up the equation, solve the equation, answer the question. Okay? All right, so write the unknown. So first part you're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do it on this page. So this is number 2. So write the unknown. Okay, if you look at that problem we were looking at, they want you to find what? No. What they want you to find? The number. To find the number. So you can let x be the number. Don't say let x be the unknown. Don't say they'll put just x in here. I've had that before. And some people will say x equals unknown. They tell you what they want you to find. What is it they want you to find? The number. So you got to say, let x equal the number. Just like this. Let x equal the number. So remember on some of your worksheets, when you had to go from the word problems to an expression, they said let x, use x to represent the unknown. Okay, so that's what you would put in that box. Then the next box is you set up the equation. So you're going to set the equation based on how you read the problem and knowing certain keywords. So the first part says this: the difference of 3 times a number and 1. That could have been in your last test. How would you write that? 3x what? Very good. 3x minus 1. That's that first part. Is the same as, equal, twice the number, 2x. So knowing things that we've talked about before helps you with this. There's your equation. And now all you got to do is just solve the equation. So the next part is solve the equation. So to solve the equation in that space, you're going to rewrite it over, and then you're going to solve the equation. Now, it is easier in this case probably just to bring the variables to the right. So what would you do? Subtract 3x from both sides. Combine like terms. I get what on the left? No, be careful. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So you don't get 0, you get what? Negative 1 equals negative 1x. But you got to get x by itself, so what's the next step? Divide both sides by negative 1, and so x equals what? 1. Now, if you run out of space in that box, just go in and E. Right, so you solve the equation. Now you got to answer the question. Okay, what was the question? What was the question, though? Find the number. Actually, it's not a question. It was a statement. Find the number, right? I think I wrote as answer the question. It's not always a question. Now, here's the thing. You got to write a complete sentence. Just don't put 1 here. I know it's 1. You just told me that. Don't put 1 again. Say, you're kind of taking all these 2 boxes together. You're going to say the number is what? 1. That's what you're going to say. The number is 1. So that's what I need for you to write. So I'm telling you things that you're going to be upset with. If you put the number 1 here only, you didn't use a complete sentence. Because I know it's 1, you just told me. Write a sentence. Use the fact that x was the number. Right, so that's number 2. That's number 4. Okay, so number 4, you have the sum of 4 times a number and negative 2 is equal to the sum of 5 times a number and negative 2. And find the number. So the sum of 4 times a number and negative 2 is equal to the sum of 5 times the number and negative 2. All right, so write the unknown. There's only one unknown here, and it is the number, right? So x equals number. That's what you're to find. Set up the equation. So you set the equation as you read it. That's the easy kind with those translation word problems. Just set it up as you read. So the first part, the sum of 4 times a number and negative 2. What does that look like? Plus negative 2, or you can just say, now 4x plus negative 2, 4x plus negative 2, right? Because it says the sum, but isn't that the same thing as just saying?
4x minus 2.
Yes, very good. Is equal to, so the equal sign. Now, the sum of 5 times the number and negative 2. So you can say 5x plus the negative 2, which when you have that plus minus there, it makes it a little bit harder for you to solve it correctly for some of you. So you may want to rewrite 5x plus negative 2 as 5x minus 2. Okay. All right, so there's your equation. And we're going to solve it. So I'm going to rewrite the second one. 4x minus 2 equals 5x minus 2. So since 5x is larger than 4x, I'm going to bring the variables to the right. So what would I need to do to bring the variables to the right-hand side? Subtract 4x. Combining like terms. What's on the left? Equal? Minus 2. What's the next step? Add 2 to both sides. X equals 0. So x is on the right. Negative 2 and a positive 2 is 0. So x is 0. So answer the question. You're going to say the number is? No. The number is 0. Number 0. Okay. 6. All right, 6. Okay, 6, it says 5 times the sum of a number negative 1 is the same as 6 times the number. I'm going to find the number. So 5 times the sum of a number and negative 1 is the same as 6 times the number. All right, so what's the unknown? You're going to let x equal the number, right? Okay, equations next. All right, be careful with this equation. It says 5 times the sum of a number negative 1. 5 times, and then the sum of a number negative 1. 5 parentheses, good. X minus 1, or x plus the negative 1, which is a good idea to write as x minus 1, is the same as, what is that? 6 times the number, so what's that part? 6x. So there's your equation. What's the next step? So you're going to solve. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this over. Now, how do you solve this equation? Distribute. Minus 5 equal 6x. One more step and you're done, basically. Subtract 5 from both sides. 5x minus 5x is 0. So you get negative 5 is equal to x. So you can say the number is negative 5. Okay. Number 8. Number 8, you have, if the difference of a number and 4 is doubled. If the difference of a number and 4 is doubled, the result is 1/4 less than the number. All right, so you'll find the number. So you can let x equal the number, your equation. All right, first thing, in that first part, it says the difference of a number and 4. How do you write the difference of a number and 4? X minus 4. What am I doing to x minus 4?
Multiply the term.
I'm multiplying it by 2, because double means 2 multiplied by 2, twice, the idea of twice. So that's going to be 2 parentheses x minus 4. Is it 4? Yeah. Okay? So the difference of a number and 4 is doubled. Is the result means the same thing as equal. Okay, now this says 1/4 less than. You see the word does less than. So that means 1/4 goes first or 1/4 goes last? Goes last. The number x minus 1/4. Okay, so that's where we're at. Okay, so there's the equation. Let's go ahead and rewrite it. Okay, how do I solve that equation? Okay, so I get 2x minus 8 equal. All right, so that's where I'm at. Okay, now 2 approaches you can take now. You know 2 ways to do this. You can clear the fractions, or this is simple enough to where using your calculator you can bring all the variables one side, all the constants to the other. It does not matter. Okay, so what do you want to do? So you want to subtract x? All right. So 2x minus x is x minus 8 equal negative 1/4. What's the next step? Add 8 to both sides. Use your calculator now. So on your calculator, you're going to say negative 1/4 plus 8. So negative 1 divided by 4 plus 8 equal, and you get that decimal. So you get second PRB press equal, and there's your mixed number. So it's 7 3/4. So this right here is 7 3/4. You can write an improper fraction, or you can say 4 times 7 is 28. 28 plus 3 is 31 over 4. Okay? So then you would say the number is what? 7 3/4, or you can say 31/4. Now, let me just kind of review something with clearing the fraction. Let's go ahead and clear the fraction on this. So right here, I'm going to rewrite this part over. All right, and let's clear the fractions. So I would have to multiply both sides by the LCD. What's the LCD here? 4. 8 of the common denominator, but it's not the least. So you can use 8. It's just that it's going to make the numbers bigger. Your solution will be the same, though. So multiply both sides by 4. So remember, when you do that, though, you see how you have 2 terms here, 2 terms here? So if it's more than one term, you can close that in parentheses. And then you can multiply both sides by 4. And then you're going to use our property. Distributive. 4 times 2x. 4 times 8. So you get negative 32, right? 4 times x is 4x. What's 4 times a fourth? 1. Okay, so that's 4x minus 1. All right, now bringing the 4x to the, subtracting 4x on both sides. What's 8x minus 4x? So you have 4x minus 32 is equal to a negative 1. What's the next step? Add 32 to both sides. So I get 4x equals a 31. You see, kind of looks like I'm getting there. Next step is to divide by 4. So what's x? 31/4, or you can say 7 3/4. Okay. Now let's go back over here, and let's suppose you had no calculator. Just kind of remind you about how to deal with that. So you're adding a negative 1/4 plus 8, right? First of all, you need to rewrite 8 as 8 over 1. Then you find the LCD. What's the LCD? 4. So you're going to write equivalent fractions with 4 as the denominator. Now these denominators are the same, meaning that the numerators have to be what? The same. So negative 1/4 is equivalent to itself. But here, I want to go from 1 to a 4, so that means I got to multiply this 1 by 4. What I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So this becomes a 32. 8 times 4 is 32. And what's negative 1 plus 32? Negative 31 over 4, which is what this was. Okay? All right. So that is going to be worksheet. Now, make sure you bring this with you because we're not finished with this handout. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how to solve some other kind of problems with diagrams in it.
This is my weak link.
Huh?
Word problems, that's my weak link.
It'll be fine.
Fun is subtraction stuff.
You'll be fine.
When are you gonna be into the library again? Just,
Oh, no one showed up last time, so I don't know.
aw.
Not one person.
Come on.